Mark,
Oh my God. Oh, hey, Paul.
how you doing?
I'm doing good. I was just reading Gary B's brand new digital book. You can get it in paper copy called Need, available now on Amazon. Check out his YouTube channel to find the link for it.
Exactly. I need that.
I do
See what they did
too.
there?
I'm waiting
Right?
on my physical copies to get here,
Exactly.
but it's only $2.99 on digital.
Yeah, it's only $6 if you want the floppy.
That's
So it's like
dollar hard
can't
copy.
can't
Let's go.
can't beat it.
We need it.
So we
Need it.
need it exactly. But we also need to talk about Titans Beast World because it's over now.
It all
We're
comes
gonna
down to this.
exactly. We're gonna talk about Titans Beast World right after this. So before we get started, make sure you hit the subscribe button. Make sure you hit the notification bell so you're alerted whenever we upload new content. Leave a comment for us. Let us know how we're doing. This is the end of Titans Beast World, not the end of the story, though. We'll get to that in just a second. But we're moving on to something else now. So let us know what you think you might want us to talk about. We certainly have some sort of big summer event that's coming up, but we got a little bit of a window between now and then. So we have some ideas, but let us know what your ideas are. So leave us a comment as well. Tell us how we're doing. We are building up. Actually, it's a little bit of ways away, but we're also building up to our big 100th episode that's coming up in the not too distant future,
Oh,
just
snap.
a
What
couple of
episode
months.
number is this one?
This one is, I believe, number 76. So
Oh, it's moving fast.
we got a little bit of time.
That's
So
crazy
yeah,
to think we've done 76 of these already, Paul.
yeah, exactly.
We've
Yep,
covered some big events.
we have.
Dude, I hope 100 somehow intertwines with the summer event. I
It
doubt it will, but
seems like it
it
might
might.
be. Yeah, exactly. 24 is like a half a year, so 6 months that'll put us in
At
the
the
middle of
back end of
August.
it.
It'll
Yeah.
put us in August, so probably into our summer, into our the summer event. So that would work out
Dude, that's perfect
perfectly.
timing.
Exactly.
Yes.
Exactly. But before we get there, we got a lot to get through, obviously. So, and we have Titans Beast World number 6, the final issue of Titans Beast World. I thoroughly enjoyed this.
To say
Um,
the least.
yeah, exactly. This is it was a perfect ending. I think I've talked before. Not only did it resolve what was happening within the Titans Beast World, the story itself, it set up bigger and better things for the DC universe as a whole. I think.
As most events should. It
Mhm.
gives you the resolution, but immediately jettisons you into what's next. And also, like in this case, a mini event should it's servicing the main continuity, the biggest story arc of what's happening in the DCU. And like we talked about, the Titans took an L. They lost.
Exactly.
No matter how you spin this, these Jokers lost a lot by
Right.
the end of this.
Right. And the best part about that is they think they won.
Yeah, they don't even know how much they lost yet.
Yeah. Exactly.
There's a
Uh,
lot to unfold. I'm excited for the next issue of Titans just to see what kind
yeah.
of the epilogue to all of this might be, and that might be worth doing one of these on, even if it ties in hard enough.
Yeah, absolutely. So we start the issue kind of in the middle of where we ended the last issue with Peacemaker still on the floor with his helmet turned around, so he
Which
can't
was a
see.
fantastic moment with him and Nightwing.
Exactly, exactly. And he finally gets his helmet turned around, and basically Waller says, stop, we got this because we ended up where we saw at the end of issue number 5, which is now we know who Doctor Hate is. It is the evil side of Raven that was living inside the diamond or the emerald or whatever, the ruby that was on her forehead. And so there's this battle going on between the two of them, and Nightwing is there. But Raven basically tells Nightwing that he can't help her there, and he sends her off. He sends him off to be with.
Back to Titan's Tower. But a couple of key points
Yep.
in here is Peacemaker's super goofy in this. They got to tighten him up a little bit. He is
Mhm.
pure comic relief. Raven, the realization of seeing that this is that part of her that she thought she had imprisoned in the crystal, and it also confirmed 100% that the event that separated them was in fact what Paul said in the pages of Nightwing a few months ago.
Right, exactly. When they were fighting the demon, and when they were finished, the demon said to Raven, there's a part of you that's missing, and that's basically what that was. So the battle goes on there. We go back to Nightwing, who is now with Batgirl and Detective Chimp, and they're talking about Batman, who is still in his cage. Nightwing has a plan as to how to fix Batman, cure him basically, and it involves everybody's favorite blue Superman, Jonathan Kent.
Yeah, in this discussion, they're tasked specifically with stopping all of the remaining infected humans from being slaughtered by Amanda Waller's plan. While we saw them shut down a lot of it in the last one, there's still the what are they called? The something of the Sovereign,
Right.
like heading up with an army to just go like open fire on what remains of the infected people. So they need to get what's left of the infected people uninfected, and it starts with the plan with Batman. We're going to test run it on Batman. We know these spores are attracted to power, so they want to call in Superman. And I got to be honest with you, my mind still automatically goes to Clark. It never
Sure.
won't. But they
Yep.
said that, and John shows up, and something in me like it not dawning on me initially made John showing up even better in that moment. I'm like,
Mhm.
yes,
Mhm.
we've kind of like teased and showed little things about what you can do with these spores and everything. So I thought that it was great John showing up, because I had a feeling that they're not just using him for bait. And sure enough, as soon as they get him in the room with Batman, the spore leaves him, and John doesn't even flinch. He just boom, you look down and he's blue with
Right.
this great, like he's like off of the panel just overlaid on top of it. And it was such a great page. And just seeing him like electric blue, that's he should just stay that way.
Exactly.
Just stay
And
that way.
it's been important because in this series, I think this is when we've basically shown that he now can control when he can and when he can't, as opposed to every time before that, it was kind of when he was under stress, that's when he would suddenly go electric blue.
And it
So he
still takes a lot out of him.
right,
At this point, he can't really maintain it. He has to like use it, then turn it off. But man, we gotta. It's awesome when they use it. Like it's always surprising. It's always shocking. They do it in such a dynamic way, and that's Tom Taylor doing an event like he should instead of these
right,
long drawn out runs. But man, it was a great scene.
right. And so the next thing is, okay, now that we've cured Batman, they want to do this now on a larger scale for all the 1 million people that are still infected. So basically, what they've done is they've gone and they've corralled all of these people around the world, and they basically told the governments, to don't fire on them. We're going to come and we're going to basically cure all of them.
Yeah, well,
Um,
they're Amanda Waller sees it differently. She has her own
yeah,
people, so it's a race against the clock. Nightwing goes to none other than the president to try to reestablish trust after the events of the last issue when they interjected in a government operation. And he will go so far to earn his trust as to start to take his mask off when the president stops him and says, I get it. I trust you. I do not need to know who you are. That's a danger for all of us.
right. Right. He says that he realizes that anonymity is an important part of what they do. And so, just him going there and offering his help is enough for him. So he informs them that they've cured the president's wife, the first lady. So he's, thankful about that. And he basically says that he will do whatever he can to help him. And then we go back and we find that now there is this plan now to have Jonathan Kent basically and Diana Troy, basically in a suit that was created by Cyborg, that has it can survive a Tamarinian and a Kryptonian, basically, and so she's gonna
Can
wear
you say
that.
that word again?
Um, Tamarinian,
Tamarari,
Tamarinian,
Tamaramian.
Tamarinian.
That's a difficult one.
Exactly. And so they are going to basically do their thing to basically cure all these people, draw all the spores out again because it's drawn to the most powerful beings around, and then basically do what they need to do to fry them.
And what a great introduction once they get there as well. We show up on the scene in Gotham, all of them corralled, the Bureau of Sovereignty surrounding all the beasts, guns drawn, and daggum. What is it in this one? Is it just Steele or whoever
Yep,
it is? Sergeant
yep.
Steele
Sergeant
says,
Steele. Yep.
"Fire!" A tank shoots, and you just look to the panel, and John standing there with it in his hand, like,
He caught
"Yo,
it. Yep,
what a catch! What a
exactly.
catch!" Yeah, it was such a great scene.
Right.
And
Exactly.
yes,
So then we get Diana Troy basically getting into her armor, getting ready to go and do her work. And we flash back to Raven and Doctor Hate battling it out. And Raven tells Doctor Hate that they have a plan, to save everyone. They're going to basically draw the spores out and then kill the spores. And Doctor Hate says, "Oh, that is just classic. That is great because what you don't realize and what we learn right at this point is that every spore they kill is killing a little bit of Gar every single time they do that."
yeah, Gar's mind wasn't gone. It's just been separated in too many different directions at one time with the number of spores and the size of the Starro. So they just realized they've been killing pieces of Gar for this entire series.
Yeah. Um, but so what they do is Raven puts out this call, to stop killing. We need to corral as opposed to kill. Just as Donna Troy, I keep saying Diana, Donna Troy, is killing a spore.
Yeah.
And Nightwing says we need to
He just
corral. We
drops
need to
it, like,
exactly. Yeah. Oops, sorry, my bad. It was kind of like Peacemaker at the beginning of that issue. Oh,
yeah,
my
the
bad.
look of horror on her face too. She's like,
Mhm.
oh, like she realized like that's her. She's holding her dead friend. Like, oh my god.
Right. But they come up with another plan. We find that basically there was a time when Gar pushed Starro through a boom tube, I believe it was, or
Well, we
some
don't
sort of
get to
port.
that. We don't get to that point yet. They boom tube all of
Okay,
the spores once they
right.
crawl back to Titan's tower to
Mhm.
get them all together, to force them together and hit them with some energy and stuff. And they start reconstituting first, and they come back
All right.
together. They
Yep.
come together like butt cheeks, and they form Gar. Like, but it's a zombie form of him. There weren't enough spores left to bring in a complete Gar back. He's there in looks and physicality. Lights are on,
But no one's
nobody's
home.
home. I don't even know if the lights are on. Like, they built the building, they didn't hook the power up either.
Right. Raven is still battling Doctor Hate. Starfire comes and helps her. Headbutts Doctor Hate.
Oh,
There's some energy that's released. Wally comes along, grabs the helmet, basically does a Mountain Doom with the helmet.
straight to
Drops
Mordor.
drops it into the volcano to destroy it. And
But
so
it
now we
was a
have
great scene too. You can't miss
yeah
out on how great the scene is, because as soon as he snatches the helmet, you have evil Raven, Dr. Hate, start threatening him,
right,
and you see him while she's threatening him, he drops the helmet and he's running back from the mountain, and then you realize that he starts responding. He's like, "Oh, are you talking?" What you don't realize is I actually threw it in there before you got the first word out. You don't realize
yeah.
how fast I am, basically. Like, she went to go talk, and the deed was already done before she got a word out. It was that fast.
Right, exactly. So then we go back to Doctor Hate, the evil Raven and the good Raven, and they're basically battling each other. There's the Emerald or the Ruby in between them. They basically come flying at each other like the end of Superman and Lois season
Oh,
3. They
oh.
come and we basically that's the last that we see of them for a little while. That's as they're just about to hit each other. Um,
Yeah, Raven's about to force her back into the stone, has it in her hand,
mhm,
charged up, and you have evil Raven, all four like Trigon eyes lit up, and they're
mhm,
going at each other, and Raven's about to just force her back in.
mhm. So we'll get back to them in a second, but we go flash back to the Titans again. Basically, again, like you said, they have Gar, a very hollow Gar, for lack of a better term. And we see Waller. Who then gives a very interesting speech in front of the newly renamed Hall of Order.
Yeah, she pretty much is unshook by this entire event. Everything that could have happened that she wanted to happen did happen. The world fell into chaos. The Titans were to blame for it, and she broke the public's perception of them, the way that they handled it and the way that they handled themselves during this crisis. They crossed some lines that she was able to misconstrue and repackage and deliver to the public. So her goal is to ruin superheroes for the public, and she's done it. And she's done it from the steps of the Hall of Justice, which she has now taken over and
Mm,
renamed the Hall of Order. Ay, yay, yay.
right. Exactly. Um, so now we find out what the plan is to get to fully heal Gar, and it has to do basically with science, and that is that
Oh,
basically, if you recall, a piece of Gar, one of the starfish arms was basically severed when they sent Starro through the boom tube or what the
yeah,
portal or whatever it
Starro
was.
pushed the Necro Star through a
Right.
giant boom tube to get it away from Earth in issue one. And when Cyborg sealed the boom tube, one of the arms went with the Necro Star. Cyborg figured we don't have enough spores here to create Gar,
Hmm.
but starfish can grow their entire body back from one arm and it's genetically identical to what it lost. So
Hmm.
he opens that boom tube and retrieves the arm from space, which at this point is just suspended and frozen out there in the cold. And they just heat it up,
Hmm.
set it next to Gar, and let it form back with him. And sure enough, it created and brought back enough of Gar for him to wake back up mentally.
Right.
From what we see, because it's just a brief moment, it seems like he's all back. We don't really know how much damage there is, if he's all there. We'll have to find all that out after this series, apparently.
Right.
But he's
And
back.
so it ends with the Titans with Raven basically telling everyone there now that Gar is back, we won. Little do we know that we've already seen what the plans are for, with Amanda Waller. But if you when you flip the page from the last from the Raven saying we won, we find out very quickly that the Raven who is there is not the Raven we think it is, and the real Raven is now the one that's trapped in the
Yeah, we
ruby.
do a pic that shows the ruby, and we
Yep.
get closer and closer, and you can hear Raven screaming for help, saying "Let me out!" And then the big reveal: all four eyes open,
Mm.
and Dark Raven looking at the crystal, laughing, and she makes one little slick comment, like "I'm the only one that can hear you," kind of thing.
Yeah.
Your friends don't even know you're gone, Rachel. They're
Mhm.
about to face me. So
Right.
Dr. Hate completely bested Raven. Amanda Waller completely ruined the perception of the Titans in the public eye. And they're so busy trying to put fires out around the world, they can't even address what Amanda Waller is doing and how seeded she's getting into everything. It they stopped the beast. That's all they did in this.
Right. They
Great loss.
they brought Raven back. I mean, they brought Gara back, and they managed to turn everyone that was turned into an animal. They managed to bring them back for wherever they were, the ones that weren't killed. That is anyway.
But
So
spoiler alert: Amanda Waller didn't want an Earth with a bunch of animals running around either.
right, it was all a
Like
ploy just to discredit all
completely,
the heroes.
she completely wiped him, man. Like she did
Right.
everything she needed to do.
Yep, exactly. So that's the plan, and it ends with the Raven story will continue in Titans, and it says in very small lettering at the bottom, Amanda Waller's story will continue as well because we know it will because she is it's just getting going.
Yeah, it
I
says
guarantee you.
and Amanda Waller's quest for order is just beginning.
Right. So yeah, so that's it again. We talked about it at the top. It resolved everything that was they're meant to resolve in the Titans Beast World story, but it really set up big stakes going forward for
I got to tell
different
you,
things.
this is what happens when you sideline the Justice League.
Hmm. Yeah, exactly.
Maybe they weren't ready. Pesky Titans.
Yeah, who knows? I mean, we were promised a Justice League return at one point, and then that kind of went by the wayside. So,
I think it's
um,
in this the big summer event will be their
yeah,
return. And I like the fact that they were present throughout this series. You know, they were there to lend help, they were there to participate, but as a team, as a public entity, they were deferring to the Titans, which I thought was really cool. And we'll see if that's something that'll be addressed later as well. Like if there's like a big superhero meeting, like where they
right,
get to address the Titans for how this all played out and how this was
right.
handled or something.
Even Batman, to your point, Batman's nature would have been his natural thing when he was finally healed would have been okay. I need to now save the world, but basically
Mhm.
he let Dick take over and do what he needed to do, and he was going to use the Wayne family resources to do what he could to help people. So instead, so
We'll see where it all goes.
yeah. And I'm excited to see where it goes next. So again, you've said more than once that this was probably a lot better than it had a right to be.
It had
Uh,
no business being this good.
right, but it was really good. I enjoyed it. Hope you guys enjoyed it too, watching along with us and reading along with us. And again, on to bigger and better things because I know it'll be better or it'll be bigger anyway because we're slowly building things up. We just now got the resolution. Doctor Hate showed up as part of Lazarus Planet. We just now, months later, figured out who Doctor Hate actually was. So, they're doing a really good job of planting these things and letting them simmer a little bit
Mhm.
until they actually get back to them on the stove. So,
Oh
so
yeah.
yeah. that's going to be it for this edition of DC Comics Deep Dive. I am Paul. He is Mark.
But we are Legion.
And you are now leaving Sector 2815. Don't forget to hit the subscribe